Hi everyone! Today I'd like to introduce a new mold to you all. The Deep Round Coaster Mold. It has a frosted texture on the back that feels great in the hand, while the front is very smooth inside each cavity. It obviously produces exceptionally clear pieces. As the hot summer approaches, the beautiful ocean and adorable sea turtles, starfish, and shells have taken over my mind. I can't wait to share my new ideas with you. Let's start with what materials to prepare. Here are the materials we will be using: clear epoxy resin, paint brushes for cleaning your work, a pottery tool for shaping the Vaseline, mixing sticks and cups, small mixing cups in 2 sizes for mixing the colors and supporting the final piece. Vaseline is for molding resin shape, the heat gun for creating the waves, a lighter for removing bubbles and melting the Vaseline, the masking tape to keep the edges of your work clean, a piece of Play-Doh or clay to hold it in place, transparent resin dye for coloring the resin, ocean white pigment for creating ocean waves, some starfish, seaweed, turtle stickers, shells, and sea sand to fill in and decorate, an automatic mixer to mix the epoxy resin quickly, and finally, don't forget to wear gloves and masks when working with resin. Let's get started with making the ocean waves with Vaseline. Take a small spoonful of Vaseline and spread it evenly on the bottom of the mold. Please note that do not apply it on the inside walls, just apply the Vaseline to the bottom. The heat gun can melt the Vaseline, making the top layer more even and smoother. To shape the Vaseline, we use a torch to heat a pottery tool. The hotter the Vaseline gets, the less it will stick to the surface of the pottery tool. But please be careful to keep your hands away from the flames and the heated part of the pottery tool to avoid burning yourself. Start by shaping the Vaseline with the larger end of the heated pottery tool, being careful not to press it with too much pressure to the bottom. Then use the smaller end of the pottery tool to fill in the gaps and holes between them. After shaping, let it cool down for at least 5 minutes. Don't pour the epoxy resin right away to avoid the Vaseline floating on top of the resin before it solidifies, which could cause a mess. While waiting for the Vaseline to air dry, we start preparing the epoxy resin. I mixed 2 cups of resin. One was clear resin and the other split into 2 cups for color mixing. Using sky blue, sapphire blue, and ocean blue resin dye, I colored the first cup with 4 drops of sky blue and 2 drops of sapphire blue. The second cup had 4 drops of ocean blue resin dye. If you prefer a deeper color, you can also add more resin dye as desired. Then it was time to pour the resin into the mold. I used a total of 3 color combinations: a blue-green gradient, a monochrome gradient, and a solid color. Each of them looks very clear. Please note that during the first layer of curing, keep the resin at a normal temperature. Do not heat it, as this step may cause the Vaseline to melt and float up. After waiting 12 hours for the resin to cure, we can proceed to the next step. I used a cutting machine and paper lettering film to carve some turtle stickers to decorate the blue and green gradient resin. Press the sticker firmly onto the resin so that the air bubbles are not easily trapped when pouring the resin. For the monochrome gradient section, I only put in 2 starfish. With some marine life, of course, there has to be a beach. For the solid color part, I used some sea sand to form a bay. To leave space for the shells, I smoothed the sand out a bit with my hands. Then I added decorations of shells, coral, conch, and seaweed to make a small beach. I did the same for the solid colors on the left and right. I didn't pour a full second layer of resin to prevent those lovely fillers from floating or bubbling. Wait for the second layer to set for 5 hours before pouring the final layer to seal the top. It usually takes 12 hours for regular epoxy resin to be completely cured. Once it's done, remove it from the mold and take it out the next day. Vaseline doesn't dry out and remains somewhat sticky, so it takes longer to clean the mold and resin after use. Any Vaseline left in the mold and resin after demolding can be collected and reused next time, while the residue can be wiped off with paper towel as much as possible initially. Wipe it down thoroughly, then wash it a few times with a brush and soap. Finally, wash it twice more with water. The next step is to add some ocean wave details to this beautiful ocean coaster. Attach a small piece of clay to the bottom of the small mixing cup, then attach the side with clay to the bottom of the coaster. Level the coaster surface after level testing. Apply a layer of masking tape to the sides of the coasters to keep them clean. Resin tape is also good for this. Then mix another cup of resin evenly and pour out a small cup. Add the appropriate amount of ocean white pigment to change the resin from the transparent to opaque white. Wait about half an hour for the resin to warm up to about 50 degrees Celsius, and then you can proceed to the next step. The next step is to apply a layer of clear epoxy resin to the surface of the coasters. Pinch the tip of the small cup to make sure you pour the resin as thin as a line. Draw a curved line on the coaster with resin spiked with ocean white pigment and blow away the edge line with a heat gun. Take care to blow the waves with the heat gun along the side of the white line at an angle of 45 degrees to the surface of the piece and try to shape them in one go. Wait 12 hours for the resin to dry and peel off the masking tape. Now, it's showtime for the finished pieces.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please click the thumb up button and subscribe for more fun resin craft ideas. Also leave a comment if you'd like to learn something in the next video. That would be awesome.